I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much and welcome everyone. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Allen.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Saxer.
Yes.
Talcott.
Yes.
And Scott is absent.
With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No conflict of interest disclosure or waiver requests tonight. Takes us to approval of the meeting minutes from our regular meetings dated September 13th and September 27th. I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No community input tonight. That takes us to our financial items. Mr. Lundberg.
Okay. As always, I'd attempt to answer any questions that you as the board members had. I had a few items noted on the listing of bills and invoices on page 4, Core Educational Co-op. That's the virtual academy for student tuition, $47,515. That is being paid by ESSER funds this year. On page 8, Innovative Office Solutions. Innovative Office Solutions total was $450,000. $441,000 of that was intermediate school classroom furnishing bid. Page 10, I had noted there the Lewis Drug that the district provides a flu vaccine shot for all of its staff, or all the staff that so choose to take it. That was $8,160. Page 11, McGraw-Hill, another fairly substantial bill for our ELA adoption. A good portion of this bill this month was for the reading interventionist curriculum. You can see that notation on a lot of the individual schools there. And that would also be paid with ESSER funds. Problem with this COVID stuff, these bills and invoices never slow down. You get about half of every order comes in, and so you're touching these pieces of paper 3 or 4 times. Total of $1,360,862 of bills. The advance payments breakdown of $6,583 is for your review. At $49,436 of pay vouchers for the month. If you look through the detail, quite a number of long-term substitute teachers in that already to start the year with. September cash I'll stop.
Any questions for Mr. Lundberg on the bills and claims? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve those as presented, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Mr. Lundberg.
Okay, the September cash report had just over $17 million coming into the month of September. $550,000 of receipts. It was a very low receipt month due to the fact that our state aid payment didn't hit during the month of September. It hit in the 1st of October. Total disbursements were $5.7 million, leaving $11.888 million at the end of September. $6,546,000 in the general fund, $3.467 in the capital outlay fund, $867,000 in the special education fund, $4,200 in the bond fund, $23,800 in the enterprise fund, and $980,000 in the capital projects fund. As I said, the $550,000 of receipts are itemized on the next 2 pages. An investment report of $1,283,000. First payroll for basically for the fiscal year of 21-22, new teacher salaries and stuff, just under $2.2 million. That'll be pretty close to a typical payroll for 21-22 school year. September is the first month for some financial statements. As I've always told you, that these early months, there's not a lot of validity in the things. I just try to look for comparison from this year to last year, what's a little different revenue. As I said, there was no state aid payment in September, so that threw off the year-to-date numbers on the revenue side a little bit, in general and special education fund, but otherwise pretty close to running at that 25% as the expenditures are. Quarter of the year done. You can see the general fund at 24.3%, 25% of the year done. I didn't have anything noted on the expenditure side. Food service statement showed an accrued profit of $292,500 at the end of September. We're going to have another year of substantial profits in that fund with federal reimbursements. You can see that, I mean, you can look at the budget and see there's no sales. It's over $3 million of federal reimbursements. $201,000 of trust and agency amounts held for others. And then lastly is the capital projects fund. It's nearing the end. As I mentioned last time, it'll be in the area of $400,000 or $500,000 of revenues over expenditures by the time we get done with this. There's $150,000 of retainage on the main contractor. And the big items yet to be paid are the furnishings, which was in your packet tonight. So that'll bump that number, the $500,000, up to almost $1 million. And we still have some outstanding bills on that project. Any questions?
Hearing no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented tonight.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, Mr. Lundberg. General business items. Our first item there is administration reports from the Administrative Center. Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple items to update you on here this evening. Our COVID-19 information website remains the central communication hub for our patrons and our parents. If anyone has any questions regarding protocols, etc., they should visit that website. We are in the process of working through 2 work groups. Your curriculum committee board members are involved in those, as well as parents, other administrators, and staff. We're working through gifted education programming and 4th grade orchestra programming. You can see the objectives of that committee, and then ultimately what the results of those 2 committees are is to provide programmatic recommendations on each of those respective programs. You will receive a committee report and a recommendation, and I anticipate that coming in the month of November, probably at the 2nd meeting in November. Some really good news we received here this last week from the South Dakota Department of Ed was our FY21 teacher compensation accountability data. So that would be from the 2021 school year. Ultimately, we have met the teacher compensation accountability requirement as outlined in state statute, but the better news is that our average compensation ranked number 3 in the state of South Dakota, and that was up, I believe, from number 7 in the prior year's report. So I believe it's Oglala Lakota and Eagle Butte are the 2 public schools that ranked higher than the Brandon Valley School District in average teacher compensation. So certainly hats off to you as a Board of Education and the business office for prioritizing teacher compensation within the school district. Accountability report card, the public release of our student achievement data will occur here this week, October 14th. It is relevant to note that it is scaled back. There are no SPI scores. No science data is included. I do not believe that there's financial or CTE data included in this initial rollout. They will be adding those items as they come available, but there is no SPI and there's no new classifications of school improvement either because of impacts of COVID. So just note the public release of our student achievement data will come out here later this week, and you will certainly receive detailed information on that through the State of the Schools address in November. Our District 10 and 25 legislative breakfast is scheduled for Wednesday, December 8th at 7:30 a.m. We will host that breakfast here. It will be a published Board of Education meeting, so the agenda will be published, public comment, all that jazz, because it's a formal and official meeting of the Board of Education with a quorum. And the one item that I guess I would note is that the governor's budget address is scheduled for Tuesday, December 7th. So we should have some accurate information in terms of what the executive branch is bringing forward in terms of the budget. Just a few calendar items for you. We had staff in service today. There is no school on November 11th. Thanksgiving break, November 24th through the 26th. We'll have an early dismissal on December 22nd for our winter break, and winter break will run from December 23rd through December 31st. School will resume on January 3rd, 2022. A major ticket item, as we have been talking about, Brandon Valley High School addition. We're in the process of finalizing some of those planning details. When we have our next scheduled meeting with our architect, we will have our Buildings and Grounds Board of Education Committee members join us, as well as high school administration. But the important thing to note, priorities have not changed. General classrooms, ground floor special education, science lab classrooms. We're looking to maximize land usage and upgrade our east facility face, all while minimizing impact to parking. So, an overview of important dates I would put before the board. You should expect that we will be bidding or releasing the bid documents in early January, specifically January 6th. Bids will be due on February 10th. We'll open those bids, review those bids, and then we will bring those to the Board of Education to award said bid on Monday, February 14th at your regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. Given the fact it is an addition, we'll have to do some phasing of certain things. One of those things is the creation of a parking lot space to accommodate all of the east side that we will lose. So what we're doing is we are looking to move the band practice field to a parking lot. And in addition to transitioning that area to a parking lot, we're working to be strategic with that area to allow for it to also be utilized as practice space for the marching band as well, minimizing the number of islands, light poles, etc. in the middle of that parking space so that it can be served double duty. So again, maximizing the efficiency and the effectiveness of our space is certainly something we have to be cognizant of. So that's something to note, because we need that portion of the project done prior to the start of the school year, given the loss of parking on directly on the east side.
So the band practice field will become a parking space permanently, temporarily?
Permanently.
Permanently.
Yep, that'll go, so that would, what we're proposing is that would be all asphalt, but we would, again, put the lights on the outsides and the islands on the outside corners so that they would have, for lack of a better phrase, one large hard surfaced area that they would still have the ability to
They don't
practice
lose
on.
the space to practice.
Yep.
We're double,
Yep, as well as the artificial turf that they utilize for practice.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify for people that it's not a temporary thing, it's a
Nope,
permanent thing.
it is. Yep, hard surface. You got it. Wednesday, June 1st would be the addition. Construction will begin, and we will be impacting the entirety of the 22-23 school year. Substantial completion will occur in June 2023, with final completion there at the end of June, ready to move in for the 23-24 school year. Some communication items I would note. Buildings and Grounds Committee with the architects, as soon as we have that scheduled in October. Our classified council meets and has been briefed on the high school addition. We'll utilize the teacher liaison committee meetings that we have to also communicate with our staff. We have a specific event with the chamber where we present on October 26th. It's a luncheon. On the menu, we will also be briefing our public and our patrons that attend that event. On Wednesday, November 3rd, we'll have a high school staff meeting with just the Brandon Valley High School to work through the project and explain the timeline and the project overview. And then lastly, there will be a public meeting, informational public meeting, November 15th at 6 p.m. here in the high school community room that we will advertise to our patrons. If anyone's interested, they certainly may attend. With that, let's certainly entertain any questions you have.
Quiet group tonight. Thank you, Superintendent Larson. Mr. Lundberg, anything additional? Okay. Mr. Schleckoy? Mrs. Moore, Mr. Paula, Mr. Thorson, Mrs. Nelson, Mr. Skipstead, Mr. Pearson, anything? Mrs. Otime, Ms. Foster, Mrs. Hoffkamp, Mrs. Palmer, Mr. Horst, anyone? Mrs. Nelson, anything? Mr. Henschel? Mr. Frecking? All right. Well, with that, we do not have any board policy tonight. So, under general business, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 7.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Personnel, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 11.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 2 items under information only. Under Communication Central Office, there are some building permit applications if you would like to look at those, and a couple thank you notes that we have from different staff. And with that, that takes us to formal board reports. Does anyone have a formal board report that they would like to share tonight?
I'll just give a brief transportation update. We met Thursday of last week, and we just sort of discussed what has transpired throughout the summer months as far as getting kids signed up for transportation and what happened the first few months now of school. Basically, we've eliminated the in-district elementary open enrollment transportation, and we've utilized central pickup locations as well, which has helped out immensely. And boundary line changes in transportation, they will, as the district continues to grow, boundaries and transportation will change throughout. And then also, the committee also discussed the start of school. Since we let everybody know when you could buy your transportation passes, we found a 95% successful rate this year, and that's the best it's ever been. So hats off to everybody that helped relay the message to the general public that get your passes in, or buy your bus tickets before a certain date by July 30th. And it was all due to like the 3 open houses that we had and a lot of other things. And then also during our meeting, we talked about we've got 26 AM bus routes that are run, and we have 25 routes that are run in the afternoon. Ridership has dropped a little bit. It's around 1,900, where last year was in the 20, 21, 22 range. But in a way, that's good. That means we don't have as many kids to worry about getting from point A to point B. We are purchasing, as you saw in the earlier minutes, we're purchasing 1 school bus through ESSER funds, 1 suburban through ESSER funds, and through capital outlay, we're buying a suburban, also a wheelchair accessible van, and a maintenance pickup, as well as 2 new school buses for the next year. I think that pretty much sums everything up. Anybody have any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Odie. Anyone else have any committee meetings?
I can just give a little bit of a brief summary we have going on, and there's still a few that are coming for the regional meetings with Wade Pogany. He's also doing some virtual ones. He's calling them Wednesdays with Wade. So I was able to attend one of the virtual meetings. Just to kind of give an outlay, we're having our delegate meeting in mid-November. We're going to utilize member Scott. He's going to come and actually be our delegate voting member for the district. Since I am on the executive board meeting or board for the state, I will go in the morning and give kind of more of the state vote for the West region. The reason we do that and the way we're kind of going that way is Sioux Falls does the same thing. It allows for there to be a little bit more of a dividing line for them not to think that I'm always voting on behalf of just the Brandon School District. I'm more giving kind of for the state of South Dakota, but it also kind of gives us, in a way, 2 voices for Brandon. So then Mr. Scott can come in the afternoon and vote just for the Brandon School District. But I'll still be there beside him for this year and give him kind of the lay of the land. So it's great to have him involved, and he was very excited to do so. So I appreciate that. In terms of kind of the 3 big items that are kind of on the top of mind in terms of legislation that we believe when they take session this year, in terms of education, for first and foremost is teacher pay, not just because that's obviously what we want to make sure is taking shape, but because South Dakota has again fallen number 50. We did a great job. We took a lot of great strides, and all the other neighboring states said, thank you. We didn't want to be last. We want to make sure we out-edge South Dakota. So again, it's a fight to make sure that we edge out again, because we don't want to be number 50. As you saw, Brandon skews the numbers. I actually had a one-on-one call with Wade, and we skew the numbers a little bit, which is great. We want to keep doing that, so you have our support that we will continue to do that. Number 1 and number 2 for on the board, they're very highly federal funded, as you guys can understand. But you have our support and our commitment that Brandon will do everything we can to support our staff and our teachers and our administration. So thank you for everything you do. We are changing our wording. We're not going to just shoot for what is in budget, but what teachers deserve in the state. So curriculum, that's the other second thing. You guys have heard everything that's going on in the nation. We want to make sure curriculum is not a state function. It's a local function. So that's another big fight that we have going on. And the third one, they want to make school board elections, whether that's for school board members or for bond elections, to be set with civic elections. And that doesn't always work out because they're bipartisan. We have things that we need to do at different times. It would be very confusing because Sioux Falls and Brandon and Hartford are all in the same county. So it can be very confusing. So we're trying to also make sure that that stays more of a local control. So those are kind of some of the big 3. There'll be others that fall in there. Obviously, cannabis is a fun topic right now as well. So those are some of the things just to keep top of mind, and I will keep you as informed as well as Mr. Scott and ask for you to get involved as much as possible. Any questions, please feel free to bring them my way.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. With that, there's one travel report for you, and that takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.